Hello, hello, hello. You're listening to the Liverpool Improvisation Festival interviews. Joining me now on the line are Tim Dawkins and Dan Luxton from Improv the Dead.
Hello, it's a pleasure to be here. This is Dan talking.
And this is Tim talking.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast, and I can't wait to ask you about your show because I'm very curious. But before we get into the nuances of what you're bringing to the festival, the first thing that I've been asking people is who their improv ancestors are. So what background in improvisation, what influential teachers or sort of types of improvisation are you bringing with you to the table?
Yeah. Do you want to go first, Dan?
Oh, okay. I think that Improv the Dead in its current form owes a lot to Mischief Theatre
Yes.
and the Lights Camera Improvised Mischief Movie Night, their improvised movie show that has had many names over the years. I think Improv the Dead does have a lot of DNA in common with that, but I would hope that we've taken that core idea of an improvised movie and gone in a very different direction with it.
That's true.
So I think, yeah, go on, Tim.
Well, I would say because I think obviously Mischief Theatre, who are absolutely fantastic, and definitely like when I see them, I see the parallels. I imagine influences are also straight, go all the way back because my earliest influences are things like Whose Lines Is It Anyway, and particularly the Masterson Inheritance. The old Radio 4 show. So the idea of the narrative, the fact that you can tell a story, and back in the old days, going to see the Comedy Store Players and seeing their like second half where they do a show, so I think without a doubt, Mischief Movie Night has influenced us because when I saw their show years ago, when it was Lights Camera Improvise, it was one of the funniest things I'd seen, and I mean, that was years before we even did Improv the Dead as well. Because that would have been when I was just trying to be a normal comedian rather than an improv comedian.
Uh-huh. Wow. So that's another thing you're bringing then of a background in scripted comedy.
Yeah, so that's where when I first started doing comedy, it was basically a group of three of us who decided to put on a comedy night and see if we could write something funny. So we used to have acts who were funny, and then we would basically write links that weren't funny. But luckily enough, we did it so much that we started getting funnier as we went along. And then that was when the narrative thing for me kind of hit because we kind of wrote these sketches. And then one month I was like, oh, let's just set it all in hell. And then because of that, this was called Found Objects Band. This was back in 2009. I started doing this in Haringey, Green Lanes in the Salisbury pub. And we did one in hell, and it was like a rough, like just having that structure gave us a rough idea. It was our best show, and so then in the autumn we started giving ourselves narratives. We'd write a new story each month. So I think the thing is, I've always been interested in narrative comedy. So when I got back to get into improv, it was natural for me to think of what can I do that's narrative.
That makes total sense. And I'm sensing an undead through line. But before we get into that, let's look at what Improv the Dead, what is the actual show that you're bringing?
Well, it is called Improv the Dead, the improvised zombie apocalypse. It is exactly what it says on the tin. It's basically, I just thought it'd be fun to do a show because I wanted to do something horror themed. And the easiest way to do a monster in a horror show, the reason why so many people made zombie films is because it's very low budget. All you have to do is put your arms out and go, and instantly you've got a monster. It's very easy to switch between roles. You don't have to worry about any makeup or stuff like that. So it seemed to fit, and I am a bit of a zombie nerd. So yeah, that helps too.
And so when you see it, will it just feel like you're watching a zombie movie?
Yeah, kind of.
In part, but we will also pause the movie and we might see special features from the DVD of the movie. We might see alternate cuts. We might hear the director's commentary because where the love of love of horror and the love of zombies is very much Tim's, but I am fascinated by the minutiae of like kind of DVD special features, all the random information for the fans
Hmm.
that that kind of cult movies and cult TV shows like to put on their DVDs. And so I love that kind of thing, and we do really try to kind of build up the world of the movie by throwing in so many kind of behind the
Yeah.
scenes features and facts and kind of glimpsing the behind the scenes personalities of the actors in the movie that I guess we are improvising playing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's starts the starting point is the zombie movie, but we do then build up the whole world behind this movie, and that of course gives us lots of opportunities to get more suggestions from the audience.
Yeah, it's kind of fortunate because years ago you were about to start an improv group which was going to be sci-fi, but with that kind of special features thing.
Yes,
But then it didn't happen. But then I got you into Improv the Dead, and then it
yes,
did happen, and it's good.
yes.
But
Thanks,
one of my
pandemic.
favorite, yeah, yes, thanks to the
Yeah.
pandemic, yeah. But one of my favorite was when we gave Dan the tribute in the film that it was a set in the past. But which one was it? It was like set in. Oh, I can't remember. It was set in the past, and
Mm.
we gave your character, the actor in the show, the attribute of being very frustrated by the historical inaccuracies.
Yes,
So all the way through, you could see the actor in the film getting frustrated as well as. I mean, you have a little
I
cutaway.
didn't have to do a lot of acting there.
No, you didn't.
Wait, so each of you is playing an actor playing a character.
Oh yes, I mean, I suppose it's probably not as that sounds more intentional than it actually is. What happens is we start doing a zombie film, and it kind of comes from the like I love narrative comedy and I love narrative improv, but one of the things that I always found, and I've seen so many good narrative improv shows that I've really enjoyed, but I'm one of those people that's really annoying. Like for years before I was an improviser, I'd be the person shouting out random things, and the thing that always frustrated me when I was watching narrative improv is that they get a suggestion at the start quite often, and then obviously then that's it, that's fine, and that's brilliant. But I wanted more audience interaction, which is why Dan's idea of like getting extra features is so good, because you can basically keep the audience, like constantly adding. So it's not just the improvisers making the story. We are doing it with the audience as well. So we'll constantly go back to the audience and ask, like, what's going to happen next. We might see zombies with certain attributes, or we might go to a different place. And we did do it for kids last year, which was fun. And with that one, we just did it literally as a choose your own adventure. What do you want to happen next?
Hmm.
And that was really good fun.
Yeah, that does sound fun. So, as an audience member, yeah, what are some things that I might be able to make happen in this show?
Well, you can certainly. We quite often have cameos from famous celebrities, and the audience will choose which famous celebrities we will badly improvise around. Um, and definitely locations and and weapons. What? Oh, and we've had deaths as well. Like who's gonna die? Like you. But what's one of the things we were doing last year quite a lot is that we'd start off with a little scene, normal scene, and then we pause it and go, right, who do you want to die? And then we'll let the audience choose, and then they die, and the other people are the protagonists, and they carry on.
That's awesome. Okay, I'm already incentivized to come see it. But so in making a show like this, how did you have any that you started trying out and were like, oh no, that didn't work? Or how did you build up the selection that you currently have of options for the DVD?
Yeah, so we kind of have crowbarred just like improv games into the narrative. So we found that quite good because when you kind of forced, like it's the restrictions that sometimes help with the inspiration. So we've done it a few times when we've done the alphabet game in the middle of the scene. Like we're coming, hello, I'm the script writer for Improv the Dead, and in this next scene I got a bit bored, so I just thought I could start every line starting with a different letter of the alphabet, and
Hmm.
then the actors in the scene, in the movie, then have to do that. Um, so it's kind of we've tried lots of different things. When we first started doing it, it was just like straight Improv the Dead. I think it was Camden the first year when it was like let's add bits into it, wasn't it, Dan?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think I feel that that's certainly when we land on the whole thing of the audience chooses the protagonist, which can be quite a dangerous thing, and I think that is one thing that doesn't always work because the most interesting character in the scene is quite often the crazy kind of psychopath, and the audience wants to see more of them, but they're not necessarily the best choice to carry the kind of heart of a narrative.
Yeah,
So we've had quite a few shows where there's been a monumentally unlikable protagonist that we've then had to follow for an hour-long show.
trying to humanize all the way.
Yes. But yeah, no, you're right. The first time I did Camden, which was about 3 years ago now. Yeah, that was.
This will be our fourth Camden this year, won't it?
Yeah.
So,
I think that was our first hour-long show. So we had to bring in all these elements to expand the existing format because we'd only done like 20 minutes, half an hour sets before then.
ooh, is the show at Liverpool an hour?
I think so. 50 minutes,
Okay.
I think. We're doing long shows this year, which is nice. So, yeah, we're kind of concentrating on that format because it's worked. It's our favorite shows that we've done. And yeah, last year at Camden, we had a lovely spot at Bridewell Theatre. We're going back there again this year, hopefully. It's pretty much confirmed, but and yeah, it's just nice to be able to have a bit of space to play. But we say 50 minutes just to give us a bit of leeway, just in case we accidentally overrun. I think that's or if the narrative naturally comes to a close early, we don't feel like we shortchange people.
And is the narrative coming to a close that's just like all of the characters have been zombified, or how do you engage with the show where people are slow? You're losing characters throughout the whole time.
Take this one then.
Well, we have had quite a few shows where we've kind of run out of characters towards the end, and so there does have to be a bit of a lull in deaths, so there are at least a couple of people to make it through, so there's someone for the audience to follow to the end. But I think the beauty of having a large cast of improvisers who can all have the power to pause the movie and kind of take extra direction from the audience is that as we head towards the climax, we can really shape that climax and and get suggestions like we're heading to the exciting finish of the movie. Which location will it be, in which famous landmark will we see the final battle against the zombies? So that's a way of keeping the audience invested, even though we've kind of got all the narrative threads we need. We can still go to them to help us build the end of the show and the climax of the movie. And yeah, that's something we've always got an eye on of giving, because if an audience has sat for 50 minutes, you've got to give them some kind of satisfactory ending. Even if it is everyone dies, there's still got to be some kind of emotional payoff to the hero's journey, or some kind of exciting way of killing 1,000 zombies at once or something like that.
And the zombie genre kind of lends itself to being able to either do happy endings or sad endings. I mean, everyone dying, that's perfectly fine for a zombie apocalypse. But we do quite often have someone escaping, don't we? Like one person managing to make it through.
Yes.
And I suppose that is the challenge for us that we've had with our narratives, is to find basically how do we find the protagonist and keep them alive. So we try and work on a zombie consent thing where basically you only die as a main character if you consent to it. So the zombies will come for you as a performer, but unless you actually give yourself to the zombie horde to eat you, they can't come in and destroy you. If so you're a main character, you've got a shield.
And that's as an improviser, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So as an because everyone's also a zombie, everyone's also a character, and everyone's also a backstage person who can pause it. So we can pass it round. But yeah, I think the idea is that as an improviser, if you find you're the protagonist, you kind of have a shield, and so even if you get bitten, you're still not necessarily dead if you're useful for the plot. That's the thing we have to kind of think about.
Wonderful. And how have you worked on combat in this mode? I'm very curious because it's an epic thing you can do on stage. Obviously, you want to do it safely in the improv setting. How does the combat work?
We do a little exercise which is zombie death ring, where basically we go in doing miming household tasks, and then basically zombie comes in, and then you have to kind of think of a fun way to kill them, or they may kill you. But the good thing again about the zombie format is that it's quite slow. Like we don't do modern Dawn of the Dead or like 28 Weeks Later fast zombies. Our zombies are very Romero. They shuffle in. They're slow. So the violence tends to be quite slow too. Um, and that's the thing, I suppose. We in the exercise, one of the things we do is we basically describe what we're doing to give the other improvisers, the zombies who can't speak, like a chance. So it's like, I'm going to pick up this sledgehammer and I'm going to smash your zombie head in now. Ah, so you got lots of time to think, prepare it, and stuff like that. And then the best part is thanks to one of our colleagues, Darren, who saw this in a hoopla rehearsal for, I think it was a Coen Brothers show. They used rose petals as blood. So basically, anytime there's any ever blood, we've got our pockets and stuff full of rose petals, and we throw them in the air, and you have a nice arcing of blood going all over the stage.
Oh, I love it. That's what I also use rose petals in my show. I did not know that
Oh, fantastic!
that was something that other people do.
Would you for blood as well?
Are they from like real roses? Because I've used confetti as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like rose petal confetti. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I have a show where all the props are roses. So if you need someone to die, you pull the head off the rose and then throw it into the air. And it's always a
Fantastic.
Real
pain
roses.
Yeah.
Oh, that's higher budget than Improv the Dead then.
Yeah, no, we only do it for certain shows, and we'll reuse the same ones. Like if we have a bunch of shows in a row, we'll get 1 dozen of roses and use it for all the shows.
That's really nice. That's
And
lovely.
we have some plastic roses too that are the cheaper version for smaller gigs. But okay, so you're making this show. What have been the biggest surprises, delights, challenges that you didn't expect when you started?
Um, ooh. Well, I didn't expect it to still be doing it. It was a long time ago it started, which is great. But every year it seems to get better and bigger, which is nice. Um, yeah, I think, yeah, keeping a hold of the narrative is always a challenge. But then also trying to, I think one of the things we thought about was follow the fun. That was the adage, like if the story's not working, don't worry, follow the fun instead, and then that will kind of see you through because we want it to be entertaining.
Do you have anything to add to that, Dan?
Well, I agree with that. Yeah, definitely. Definitely, it's wrong for any of us to kind of expect as improvisers playing make believe that we should be able to just come up whole cloth with a movie script just based on a few audience suggestions. So yes, follow the fun is definitely something we've all had to learn. But also just the joy of all the different characters that we can come up with. I think that's something that as a cast and the kind of core of the cast have been doing this for a number of years now, and the joy of playing with people over a long period of time and learning each other's moves and learning what makes each other tick and what kind of characters and ideas you're going to come up with. I think that's the joy of being in any improv team that lasts for a long time of gradually kind of learning each other inside out, really.
Yeah, we've been played around with structure quite a lot just to try to find the perfect structure as we've been going along. But it is that thing of, especially as I think we touched on earlier, like with zombie death, you can kill yourself into a corner where like everyone dies. But yeah, I mean, you can always find another protagonist, I suppose. But we have, there's been a couple of times where you kind of, because it's the balance between like learning to do the thing. So like we talk about something that we want to do, and it's so easy to end up spending too long talking about it. But no, you've got to do it. You've actually just got to get on and do it. But then you do it, and then you might find, okay, well, what's the next thing? Because now we've done that. That whole plot strand's been finished, and it's 20 minutes in, and we now have got to find another 20 minutes of plot, I suppose.
Yeah.
So it's that balancing.
Makes sense. That with kind of combining what you guys both just said about the knowing each other inside out, and also having, maybe certain people who are thinking more about the plot, certain people who are thinking more about the fun. What are each of your kind of intergroup superpowers? What's special about the way that each of you improvised, and what are you focused on when you're playing?
Well, if I can say something for Dan, Dan is amazing at knowing what needs to happen. Like in the sense that with the games, he is absolutely spot on at choosing the right moment to pause the action and to throw a spanner into works to kind of help lift the energy and move things forward. Yeah, he's a master at it, particularly towards the end. Actually, he quite often rounds it all up and gets us to our denouement.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That I do tend to focus more on the nuts and bolts of the story and keeping it as a coherent narrative, which means I don't do so much of the actual improv games, and working out what improv game is needed when. And Tim is very good at that. He's very good at knowing this is the moment to bring in the alphabet game, or this is the moment to bring in two-headed expert or something, and knowing when to go to the audience. And because it is very difficult to think of what offers you're asking for in the moment. That's a surprising thing. If you're in a team that always gets the same offers at the top of a show, that's easy. That's just the rhythm of the show. But in the moment, go, I need to ask them for their favorite flavor, or I need to ask them for a location that you could fit 12 people in. That is quite a difficult thing to come up with on the fly, and Tim is very good at working in knowing what the right game for the right moment is.
Shucks. Yeah, but I think the important thing is that like it's just fun playing with everybody, and as long as we're all having fun playing, then we're on the same page, if you know what I mean. It's like I think Becky's superpower, who's not here, who might have joined us, her superpower there is being the reluctant protagonist, because she doesn't want to be the protagonist, and so she's always the protagonist.
That's funny.
Yes. Becky's superpower, because as well as both of us being in this, Becky and I have a duo. Becky's superpower very much is being thrown under the bus repeatedly, but always wanting to bounce back from underneath it.
What was it? The one we did at Camden last year. She ended up being a cannonball, and she got the zombies by flying across the stage, and then we made her do it again.
Yes,
that was fun. Oh yes, nice. Yeah, I'd also say Darren, who's not here as well, he's perfect at being a background character who comes in exactly the right moment and offers exactly what you need.
Yes,
which is a real skill, because he's quite often like he'll hang back and listen. He's so good at listening to all the characters that we've talked about but aren't there yet, and then he'll either come on as that character just at the right moment, or he'll come as the character that will go. There was one time we were stuck in I think it was a they were stuck in a lift or something, and he came on just as a repair person undoing a vent to help the two protagonists know where to go next. Just came on, opened the vent, and they were like, "Oh, great! Now we know what we're doing next." So he's very good at that.
Brilliant. Yeah, those are good. Those are good superpowers to have on the team. It's always nice when everyone has these different skills that are complementing. I loved how so many of them seemed like what they were the ability to notice when someone else in the scene needed something and then jump into the scene and add that. And it seems like having all of you be able to jump in as directors must mean that you're really able to take care of each other.
It's the nice thing as well for if you're not the protagonist and you're basically being like mostly your time is being a zombie, you can still have a really good fun show, because your job then is to like chuck spanners in the works and make it difficult for the protagonist, give them challenges, even if it's just going in a zombie and just trying to eat them, or if it's just like to pause the action and make it harder for them.
Yeah, so I don't have a segue here, but the next question that I have on the list is about impro advice. So I'm curious about what kind of advice you've received that's changed the way you've played as an improviser, and if you can pass that along into the world.
Yeah. Do you want to go first, Dan?
Oh gosh. What have you got something ready to go? Yeah, that's it. I think we're both racking our brains through many years of I mean, it's always the basic stuff. It's always the most basic stuff that you learn when you're starting out. And yeah, and it's always the kind of basic stuff around not being negative and just embracing the joy of what's going on. What and especially in a narrative thing like this, it's always just remembering whatever's happening on stage is what's supposed to be happening. That it that is the right thing to be happening. You've just got to make sense of it and see where it leads. But it's whatever narrative turn has been taken, it's never the wrong one. And yeah, and as I say, it's these are lessons that you kind of learn when you're starting out the whole the very basic tenets of yes and and always being positive and always responding positively to what the other people on stage are doing. But the longer you're in the improv game, the more ways you realize that is true, and the more facets to that simple truth you see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware that wasn't like a specific piece of advice. I'm hoping Tim's going to say something inspirational he once heard.
Well, I mean, I suppose there's a few things that, I mean, obviously you pick up over the years. So there was one of the things that for improv, which when we had Katie Shute came in and did some coaching with us, the first year we did Camden, one of the things I really liked that for improv, she gave us this the scene game where she was basically saying, well, you're pretending that you've got a script. That means everything you say on stage was written down by someone, and so you can give it importance. You don't have to rush. You're going to take your time, and that's something we always go back to every year. We practice that exercise over and over again. But I can't, and this is the thing, I really can't remember who said it was this. It might have been Steve Rowe, because I did some stuff. I was in a house team with Hoop. Well, I'm still a house team. So I do stuff with Hoopla Kerfuffle, and I think it might have been. It might have been Steve, but it might have been Heather Urquhart. She coached a while back, but it was about going when you're in the scene, do something that you think your scene partner will enjoy. That's where that's what you should. You don't worry about yourself so much, but if you can find something that your partner's going to enjoy, you're going to have fun together. And that's really nice. I thought that's good because it gets you out of your own head. You're not going on trying to be, oh, I'm going to do something fun. You're thinking about what can I do to make this person I'm playing with enjoy themselves. It's hard to remember, but it does work.
Yeah, it's funny you've talked so much about joy this whole interview, but you're doing a show about like zombies ending the world. How do you balance the sort of fear and humor in that?
I mean, realistically, we are a comedy show. We're a spoof rather than a genuine horror, I would say. Partly because that's what we found as a group. That's what we enjoyed. But and I suppose it goes back to the Sam Raimi thing of he talked about Evil Dead being the Three Stooges with blood and guts instead of custard pies. And so Improv the Dead and the gore and stuff like that and the blood, it's just kind of fun. It's like when you're a kid and you're just like my daughter, she's always chopping off my head or chopping off my arms and things like that, just going chop, chop, chop. She likes chopping me up. And it's that kind of innocent violence, I would say, is what Improv the Dead is. We go in and we're never mean, are we? We don't do horrific. We sometimes go nasty places with people dying horribly and getting amputated and limbs being chopped off and stuff like that. It's never mean.
No. If there are villainous human characters, they're always very cartoonish. Kind of mad scientists or something. There's never any mean-spirited, nasty characters in there. Just crazy people who either do the right thing or the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And I've always found a catharsis in horror movies. I mean, that's the thing. It's like there are some that are just really kind of shake you up, but a lot of them, particularly the more gory the horror film, the more kind of cartoon it is. So, I mean, there's so many things like Happy Death Day and stuff like that where you've got ridiculous violence. What's the one I watched? It was a body swap. It was like I think it was Freaky or something like that. But basically, they did the body swap thing, where normally it's like Freaky Friday, it's the mother and daughter, but they did it with serial killer teenage girl, and so you've got and it was horribly violent and gruesome and absolutely hilarious and cathartic for it. So I suppose that's where the joy comes from my perspective. The shocking thing for me though is that so I put this team together and stuff like that, and discovered that out of the six of us who do it regularly, basically I'm the only real horror. I really like horror. Everyone else likes doing the show and likes being a zombie, but I like horror films. So yeah.
Did you have to watch? Did everyone else in the group have to watch a bunch of zombie films in order to practice for it, even if
I've
they were
tried.
afraid of them?
I've tried, but no, I've not got
Tim,
anywhere.
Tim does threaten occasionally to force us to watch these things. I think we've all seen Shaun of the Dead, and we've all decided that's good enough for us.
Brilliant. Well,
We've all seen one.
well, one of the funny things I feel like about genre improv is that you always have certain people whose entire perception of the genre gets shaped by the improv that they've seen in that genre. Like you've seen probably hundreds now of zombie movies. They've just all been the ones you've improvised.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And to be fair, a lot of the tropes from the zombie movies are now in our show because they kind of fits anyway. They do fit. Survivors, betrayal, being bitten and hiding it. I mean, we always do the genre cauldron, which is very useful because the thing is with the the zombie genre as well, which is why I think it's so rich, is that it's also every other genre because you can do zombie western, you can do a zombie sci-fi, you can do a zombie romance, you can do a zombie anything. So you can pull in all the other tropes from every other type of genre fiction and chuck it into a room with zombies.
It's true. What is the weirdest crossover then that you've done?
We tried. I mean, in essence, most of our narratives are kind of road trips because you have to go on a hero's journey. But we did try and do a kind of zombie road trip once where, because we were so focused on the journey, we kind of forgot to put zombies in it. and the only zombies that really appeared was a flock of zombie sheep.
Yeah, we
And
want
so
to
we
make
had to make
Glastonbury or
them
something, don't we?
the kind of the main threat of the narrative as we approached the end. Realized we didn't have any human zombies. We just had these goons in a car being chased by zombie sheep.
Brilliant. That's
I mean,
awesome.
I thoroughly enjoyed the gangster one we did, where basically we were all gangsters doing gangster voices, but the flashback, it wasn't even a zombie thing, but it was a flash. We used to do a flashback of Johnny Two Hats' wife being killed, and every time we flashed back, it got more extravagant and more detailed. No zombies in that, but it was fun.
That's one. So during a show, someone can say like, "We flash back to," and then you'll see a scene of back in time.
Yeah, any trope that's used in films. So obviously flashbacks used in films. So we absolutely flash back if necessary. We do cutaways, we do deleted scenes, we do alternative takes. One of the ones that we've enjoyed quite a lot doing is sponsorship. So we enjoy doing this where the movie gets a bit of money from like I don't know, JD Sports, and then we'll advertise JD Sports for a little while until the money runs out, and then we go, JD Sports sucks. And then,
And is that product placement? You'll just like randomly be using a football during your scenes, or how does it work?
Yeah. So like I think we were on a canal barge or something like that, but we ended up going to JD Sports to get kitted out to protect ourselves from zombies. And while the sponsorship money was coming in the story within the story, we were all fine. Then JD, it might not have been JD Sports, it was some kind of sports place, but then they pulled their funding, in our narrative outside of the narrative. And then we started getting all the zombies could just rip everything off and eat us easily. So it's fun things like that.
Brilliant. That's fun. And I guess you can kind of make a few commentaries about the world through that as well.
Yeah. I mean, occasionally we do get political. I mean, mostly not, but sometimes we have guest politicians coming in.
Yeah, and with the celebrity, what do you do if if the audience wants you to incorporate someone that you've just never heard of? Do you accept it and go for it, or?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, our impressions aren't good, but yeah, we try.
Yeah, we might ask the audience to just briefly explain who they are, and then we'll go from that.
You're off to, and that might be even more fun for them if they know who the person is. They probably the worse you are, the better the time they'll be having.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And Mark was very excited about the show because you guys are the last show at the festival, right?
Oh, I think so. Yes. We're like Saturday night, aren't we? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
9:30. That's right.
the idea of the whole festival closing with the
Well, better bring our bloody A game then. Hopefully, by the end of the night, the entire floor will be awash with rose petals.
yeah.
I hope so.
And just apocalypse, and the whole audience will be zombified. With
We
that,
do tend
yeah.
to follow the audience. Like, so if the audience wants a light, frothy zombie thing, that's what happens. But when they go darker, then, like we know to go darker too, I suppose. So that's the good thing of getting suggestions all the way through. You get a marker of like, not following the fun, like what's the fun thing for the audience as well, and you can get them to really help out with that.
Yeah. Do you think it'll be different in Liverpool than it's been in other places?
Well, I mean, what was it when we weren't in? Was it Farnham or Fareham? I never get that right.
Fareham. Let's say
Fareham.
Fareham.
Let's say Fareham. It might
In
be fine.
Surrey. That place in Surrey.
That place is sorry. Their suggestion for the location was the World Trade Center. So you never know what you're
Yes.
going to get.
Yeah.
And you
And that was
briefly forgot what happened to the World Trade Center, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I did briefly. It's not on YouTube to be witnessed as well, that one. But yeah, but so yeah, I mean, every audience is different,
Mhm.
and and yeah, every audience has got things that they're going to want to see more of, and that was the really lovely thing as well, doing it for kids last year as well, because that was the really surprising thing when we tried to do the kids show, and we were like, okay, well, we've got to make sure we're not too gruesome or like that because we don't know. The very first suggestion is what it was in a bar in the West. What are they drinking? Blood beer. It's like, okay. That's what they want. They were really gruesome, actually. They wanted the most. They wanted ears chopped off and stuff like that, didn't they?
That whole kid show was an absolute joy to perform because that you've kind of got a kind of politics happening in the audience where there was kind of one group on one side of the audience that was really into cowboys and the Wild West. And then on the other side of the audience, you had a different group of kids that were really into sci-fi and space. And kind of depending on the flow of the show and which group of kids was louder at any one point, the genre of the zombie movie veered wildly. We started off in a old saloon, as Tim said, and we ended up on Mars or somewhere like that because just the zombie film was constantly just kind of veering wildly from genre to genre. It was absolutely brilliant, kind of following the politics of the audience.
Yeah. Kids do love violence and death and all sorts of things. I think we think of them as not loving those things, but as long as it's not scary, I feel like
Yeah.
kids
Yes.
adore that kind of play. And like zombie tag, I feel like that's the first introduction to zombies for most people.
Zombie tag.
Yeah, have you played
Well,
zombie
the game.
tag?
No, is that a playground game?
Yeah, it's a playground game. You just if you get tagged, you also join into this mass, and slowly they surround people.
That's a brilliant game, right? I'm going to try and find an excuse to play it with some grown-ups.
You could do it as a warm up for
Yeah.
just to get a small room so people can't really run that fast, and then it spreads out. Interesting. Maybe that's not something that's done in the UK, but
No, wait, I've not heard of it. I'm gonna try and teach it to my daughter, see if she can start playing in the playground.
yeah, it's lovely. Do you feel like being a parent has changed the way that you improvise?
Which is kind of the reason I am an improviser now, because back at the start we were talking about how like I did scripted stuff. So the thing I was doing before my daughter was born was a choose your own adventure show, and it was scripted, which meant the script was ridiculous because it was essentially three shows in one. It was like, yeah, basically the audience could choose what we did, and we had like we had points where it would go, we could go wildly away, then you come back to a same point, and you go wildly away, and you come at that same point, but your decisions did change the order of the story, and we had to rehearse this script that had, like, yeah. I think there was something stupid like 50 or 60 different possible combinations you could do. Like some of them very small, just little changes, but we learned it all and we did it all. And then we went up to Edinburgh when my old comedy partner Ed had his first kid, and that was tough. And then I had a kid, and that was even more tough. And so basically, it got to the point where we just ran out of time to actually write these stupidly long scripts. So I'm always I can't stop performing. It's like it's just one. I have to be doing something. So that's when I started doing improv again. I'd always done it as because I'm trained as actor, so like I've always known improv games because I've done improv games and I've watched it on television, listened to it on the radio, and it was having my daughter. But the one thing I would say is that if you are a parent, do improv because I was so sleep deprived, and then I'd go to Dan's Duck Duck Goose, and we'd do a montage, and it would be like dreaming, like lucid dreaming. And I would get refreshed in a way that wouldn't refresh, like I wouldn't have any fresh because I'd be up all night.
Mhm.
And honestly, like the montage at Duck Duck Goose would refresh me and make me feel sane again. So yeah, I thoroughly recommend improv to anyone who's got kids.
Okay. I mean, it can save, and that's it can have a big effect on your mental health
Oh,
in a
it's
positive
amazing.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that play. Um, all right, as we gear up into the end of the interview, I'm curious if you have been to Liverpool before, been to the Liverpool Improvisation Festival before, and even if you haven't, if there's anything about the festival that you're particularly excited for.
Well, I haven't been to the festival before. No, I've been to Liverpool before, and it is one of my favorite cities. So I'm very much looking forward to just spending some time in Liverpool. But yes, I was looking at the listings of the other teams playing this year, and I know some of the other people we've got playing on Saturday night, but there's plenty on Thursday and Friday that I've just not heard of at all. And I do love that about festivals that you do get that we as improvisers in our London bubble get to step outside
Yeah.
the London
Mhm.
bubble and see what improv is going on in other parts of the country and sometimes other parts of the world as well. I love seeing other people's approaches. So I'm looking forward to checking out some people I've never heard of before.
Yeah, and I love Liverpool too. I've been up there quite a few. I dated a few people from Liverpool, and they've always been lovely, so that's been good. And I ended up doing a few years ago, This Is My House, like a TV show where I had to pretend that I owned a house in Liverpool. So that was fun too. But for me, I'm really excited because this is actually my first improv festival. So we've done Camden Fringe and obviously we've done little bits here and there, but I've never been to like an improv festival before. Although this year we're doing a few of them because that's kind of our focus this year. So I'm really excited because I want to try and do some workshops and I just want to meet some people and chat and just watch some improv and just yeah get out the London bubble as well because it's so good to meet other people and every time you get a different flavor you see something that you've not seen beforehand it's brilliant and it really can enhance your own like thoughts and improv and stuff like that and yeah so I'm really looking forward to it. It's gonna be great.
Brilliant. Yeah, that it's a good first festival. I think
I've
you're
heard
gonna
good
have a
things
great
about it, yeah.
time. I think you're gonna have a great time, and I'm sure that you'll be impacted by all the different shows. I think one of the beautiful things about festivals is that I think that they are a way in which improv techniques spread out to the whole world, and it makes everyone's show better to be able to see each other's show there. Um, and then your show at the festival, right, I think, is at 8:30 p.m. Saturday the 9th at the Unity Theater. Is there anywhere online that people can find Improv the Dead if they are someone in London or yeah, want to see you perform before the festival or just want to watch a video?
Absolutely. There is a work in progress website, which has been work in progress for, I think, about 2 years now. But we are on improvthedead.co.uk. You can go there, and we've got a website, and it links to all the shows that we're going to be doing. There will be a gallery up there, and I'm hoping to edit some of our old shows. The trouble is, like with whenever you try and record an improv show, what happens is either it's like the best show ever and it doesn't record,
Uh,
or it's like it's okay, it's got its moments and it records perfectly.
yeah.
But I'm going to try and get the best bits of the bits that did record Because last year with Bridewell, it cut out the last 15 minutes of both shows, so that
Oh
was a bit frustrating.
no.
So, but I'm going to try and put some clips together, and they can get sense. And hopefully, we're going to try and get some more just like performances. We're going to Oslo in April, and
Wow.
then we're doing Liverpool in start of May, and then we're in Chichester at the end of May, and then
Mhm.
Camden Fringe again in August. So that's what we've got on the plate so far.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
M-
more coming.
I might be wrong about this, but my memory is that the Liverpool does a really good job of taping the shows.
Oh,
Uh,
yes, yes, it does. I've heard that.
so you'll at least have one really great video of a really great show for a great audience. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on the show. It's been lovely to hear about it, and I can't wait to see the blood and gore up close myself. Is there anything else you want to sneak in, or are you ready to say goodbye?
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, it's been a
getting
pleasure.
excited.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, then without further ado, this ends this Liverpool Improvisation Festival interview. Bye.